The morning sun had barely peeked over the horizon when Alex pulled up to the electronics store parking lot. His heart was racing with excitement. After 6 months of saving every penny from his weekend job at the local burger joint, he finally had enough money to buy a PlayStation 5. The store wasn't opening for another hour, but he wasn't taking any chances. He'd been tracking £5 restocks like a detective, and according to their website, this store was getting a fresh shipment today. Alex wasn't alone in his quest. By the time he parked his beat-up Honda Civic, inherited from his older brother, a small line had already formed outside the store. He grabbed his backpack containing the carefully counted cash, mostly in 20s and 10s, and joined the growing crew of EVA gamers. "You here for the £5 too?" asked the guy in front of him, a college student wearing a Pokemon beanie. Alex nodded, pulling his jacket tighter against the morning chill. They struck up a conversation about games they were looking forward to playing, helping pass the time as more people joined the line behind them. As the store's opening time approached, Alex could feel the tension building in the crowd. The manager came out to address everyone, confirming they had received exactly 12 £5 consoles. Alex did a quick head count. He was 8th in line. His heart leaped. He was actually going to get one. The purchase itself felt surreal. Alex's hands were shaking slightly as he counted out the money he'd saved. Every extra shift, every weekend he'd given up hanging out with friends, every time he packed lunch instead of buying it, it was all leading to this moment. The cashier, a friendly guy with glasses, could tell how much this meant to Alex. "First big purchase, huh?" the cashier asked with a knowing smile as he carefully placed the £5 in its bag. "Yeah," Alex replied, unable to contain his grin. "Been saving since forever." "Well, you picked a good one. Make sure you keep your receipt safe, okay?" Alex carefully tucked the receipt into his wallet and double-checked that everything was secure. The £5 box was heavier than he expected, but it was a good kind of heavy, the weight of accomplishment. He thought about how proud his mom would be when he told her he'd saved up for this all by himself. Walking through the store, he could feel eyes on him and his precious cargo. Other customers who'd missed out were watching enviously as he made his way to the exit. Alex tried to keep his head down, not wanting to seem like he was showing off. He was just a regular kid who'd worked hard and gotten lucky. As he pushed open the glass doors leading to the parking lot, Alex mentally planned out his afternoon. He'd need to clean up his room a bit, maybe rearrange his TV stand to make space for his new console. His little sister would probably want to watch him set it up. She always liked to be involved in everything he did. Maybe he'd even let her be the first one to try it out. Little did Alex know, his simple trip to buy a gaming console was about to become much more complicated. Sometimes the most ordinary days have a way of becoming extraordinary, and not always in the ways we hoped for. The warm glow of success Alex felt didn't last long. As he walked through the parking lot, keys jingling in one hand and his precious £5 held close with the other, he heard the sharp click-clack of heels against asphalt approaching rapidly from behind. "Excuse me, young man." Alex turned around, thinking maybe he'd dropped something. Instead, he found himself face to face with a woman who looked like she'd just stepped out of a luxury car commercial. Her highlighted hair was perfectly styled, her manicured nails matched her designer handbag, and her face wore an expression that suggested she wasn't used to hearing the word no. "Hi, can I help you?" Alex asked politely, the way his mom had always taught him. "Yes, actually. I couldn't help but notice you bought the last PlayStation," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "My son's birthday is tomorrow, and I simply must have one. I'll give you $50 over what you paid." Alex shifted uncomfortably. "I'm sorry, but it's not for sale. I saved up for months to buy this." The woman's perfectly painted smile tightened. "Listen, sweetie, I'll give you 100 over retail. That's more than generous. You can just save up again." "Ma'am, I really can't. This means a lot to me," Alex tried to explain, taking a step back. That's when her whole demeanor changed. The fake smile vanished, replaced by something ugly and entitled. "How can you even afford this? These are expensive devices. Did your parents buy it for you?" Alex felt his face grow hot. "No, ma'am. I worked for this money myself." "Oh, really?" She crossed her arms, looking him up and down like she was appraising a suspicious package. "Where does someone like you get that kind of money?" The way she said, "someone like you," made Alex's stomach turn. He'd heard that tone before, seen that look. His grip tightened on the 5 pounds box. "I have a job," he said firmly. "I saved up, and I'm not selling it." "Well, I've never," she huffed, pulling out her phone. "I want to speak to your parents. What's their number?" "I don't have to give you that information," Alex replied, his heart pounding but his voice steady. Other shoppers were starting to notice the commotion, some slowing down to watch. "Don't you take that tone with me," she snapped, her voice rising. "I'm trying to be reasonable here. 200 over retail final offer." Alex shook his head and turned to walk away. That's when he felt her hand grab his arm. "I'm not finished talking to you," she declared loudly, as if she was performing for an audience, which by now she had. Several people had stopped to watch, and a few had their phones out. "Please let go of my arm," Alex said clearly, loud enough for others to hear. He remembered what his parents had taught him about staying calm in tense situations. "Not until you show some respect. I am trying to make you a very generous offer, and you're being incredibly rude." Her grip tightened, her long nails digging into his jacket. A couple of other customers started moving closer, sensing that something wasn't right. A man in a delivery uniform called out, "Hey, is everything okay over there?" The woman's head snapped toward the voice, but she didn't let go. Instead, she raised her voice even louder. "Everything is not okay. This young man is being completely unreasonable." Alex couldn't believe this was happening. All he'd wanted was to buy a gaming console, and now he was stuck in the middle of a parking lot scene with a stranger who seemed to think she could bully him into giving up something he'd worked so hard for. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of what would become one of the craziest mornings of his life. The situation escalated faster than anyone could have predicted. The woman's face had turned an alarming shade of red, and her perfectly maintained appearance was starting to crack under her growing frustration. Without warning, she lunged forward and grabbed the 5 pounds box with both hands. "If you won't be reasonable about this, I'll just take it," she shouted, trying to yank it away from Alex's grasp. Alex held on tight, his months of stocking shelves and carrying trays of burgers giving him more strength than the woman expected. "Stop, let go," he called out, trying to maintain his balance while keeping his grip firm but not harmful. By now, a small crowd had gathered. Phone cameras were recording the scene, and voices of concern rang out across the parking lot. "Hey lady, what do you think you're doing? Someone call security. I'm recording all of this." A young woman in scrubs stepped forward. "Ma'am, you need to let go of that box right now. What you're doing is assault and attempted theft." The woman's response was almost comical in its absurdity. "Mind your own business. This is between me and him." She gave another hard tug at the box. "My son deserves this more than some random teenager." Alex stayed focused on protecting his property without escalating the situation. His dad's words echoed in his head. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay calm when others lose their cool. The delivery man who had spoken up earlier was now on his phone, presumably calling store security. Two other customers, both dads by the look of their world's best father t-shirts, moved closer, ready to intervene if needed. "I have the receipt right here," Alex announced loudly and clearly. "This is my property that I legally purchased. Please let go." The woman's grip suddenly loosened as she registered all the phones pointed at her. The realization that she was being recorded seemed to break through her entitled rage for a moment. Alex quickly stepped back, clutching his 5 pounds safely against his chest. That's when store security finally arrived, a slightly out-of-breath guard jogging across the parking lot. "What's going on here?" Before anyone could explain, the woman's entire demeanor transformed. Her face crumpled into an expression of distress, tears seemingly appearing on command. "Oh, thank goodness you're here. This young man tried to steal my PlayStation." The crowd erupted in disbelief. Multiple voices spoke up at once. "That's a complete lie. We all saw what happened. I've got it all on video." She tried to grab it from him. The security guard looked between the crying woman and Alex, who was still holding his 5 pounds protectively. "Sir, do you have a receipt for that item?" "Yes, sir," Alex replied calmly, carefully shifting the box to one arm so he could reach for his wallet. "I just bought it about 10 minutes ago." The cashier's name was Ron, if you need to verify. The woman's performance reached new heights of drama. He must have stolen that receipt. I demand to see the manager. Do you know who I am? I spend thousands at this store. A girl about Alex's age stepped forward, phone in hand. I've been recording since she grabbed his arm. Would you like to see the video? The security guard nodded, watching the footage with a growing frown. Meanwhile, the woman's tears had mysteriously dried up, replaced by a look of calculating desperation. She grabbed her designer purse and started backing away toward a white luxury SUV parked in a handicap spot without a permit. This is ridiculous. I don't have to deal with this. I'm calling the police, she declared, fumbling with her phone. The security guard straightened up after watching the video. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to stay right here. The police are already on their way. What happened next would soon become viral content across multiple social media platforms. The woman's fingers trembled as she dialed 911, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against her phone screen. The small crowd watched in disbelief as she put on the performance of a lifetime. Yes, hello, I need help immediately. Her voice suddenly became shaky and frightened. I'm at the electronics store on Main Street, and I've just been robbed. Yes, threatened. He tried to steal my PlayStation. The security guard stepped closer, speaking loud enough for the 911 operator to hear. Ma'am, you need to stop making false reports. She turned away, covering her free air with her hand. Please hurry. I don't feel safe. He's still here with my property. Her voice cracked with fake tears. He's a young man, very threatening, and he has my PlayStation. I have witnesses. Oh no, she doesn't, the nurse in scrubs called out. We're all witnesses all right, but not to what she's claiming. The delivery driver nodded in agreement. I've got the whole thing on video, from the moment she grabbed the kid's arm. Alex stood quietly, still holding his £5, feeling a mix of emotions he couldn't quite sort out. His heart was racing, but he wasn't scared, more frustrated and honestly amazed at how quickly his simple shopping trip had turned into this circus. A teenager with green hair who'd been recording spoke up. The cops need to see this. She's literally making up a whole story right in front of us. The woman spun around, phone still pressed to her ear. These people are all lying. They're his friends. I demand to speak to a sergeant. The security guard had pulled out his own phone and was talking to someone too. Yes, sir, I'm still with the asset protection team. We have clear security footage of the entire incident. The customer purchased the item legally. I've verified the receipt and transaction. 2 minutes that felt like 2 hours passed. The woman paced back and forth, alternatively sobbing into her phone and shooting glares at everyone around her. She kept getting louder, her story becoming more elaborate with each telling. He pushed me. Yes, I'm certain. I'm going to need medical attention. My shoulder. He grabbed my purse too. I think he was trying to steal my wallet. The small crowd's murmurs grew louder with each obvious lie. Someone in the back shouted, "The only person who tried to steal anything was you, lady." The distant wail of police sirens cut through the tension. The woman's face lit up with vindictive satisfaction, but that expression quickly faded as not one but 3 police cars pulled into the parking lot from different directions. "Oh, thank goodness you're here," she cried out, rushing toward the first officer who stepped out. "I want him arrested immediately. He assaulted me and stole my property." The officer held up his hand. "Ma'am, please step back. We've received multiple calls about this incident, including one from the store's security team." Another officer approached Alex. "You okay, son?" "Yes, sir," Alex replied respectfully. "I have the receipt for my purchase, and there are several witnesses and videos of what actually happened." The first officer was still trying to calm the woman down. "Ma'am, please lower your voice and stop walking away while I'm speaking to you." "Do you know who I am?" she demanded, rifling through her designer purse. "My husband is a very important person. I want all of these people arrested for harassment." The third officer had been talking to the security guard and watching videos on people's phones. His expression grew more serious with each viewing. "Ma'am," he called out, "we need to have a conversation about filing false police reports." The woman's face went through a rapid series of emotions: anger, disbelief, fear, and finally, a desperate attempt at damage control. This is all a misunderstanding, she said quickly, her voice suddenly much softer. I was just trying to buy a PlayStation for my son. Things got a little heated, that's all. We don't need to involve law enforcement. That's not what you were saying 2 minutes ago, muttered someone in the crowd. The officer shook his head. I'm afraid we do need to involve law enforcement. You've made some very serious false accusations, and we have multiple witnesses and video evidence that contradict your emergency call. The parking lot had turned into an impromptu courthouse, with evidence mounting by the minute. Inside the store, the security team was reviewing crystal-clear footage from multiple angles. Outside, witnesses were showing their cell phone videos to the officers, each clip revealing another layer of the woman's actions. Play that part again, one officer requested, watching a witness's phone, right where she first grabbed the box. The store manager had come out now, a stern-looking person in a crisp blue shirt. We have her on camera entering the store earlier too. She arrived after we were sold out and demanded to speak to management. I personally explained we had no more units available. The woman's composure had completely crumbled. Gone was the entitled attitude, replaced by desperate bargaining. This is completely unnecessary. I was just trying to get a gift for my son. Can't we handle this like reasonable adults? Ma'am, the lead officer said firmly, you've committed several offenses here. You attempted to steal private property, made physical contact with a minor, and filed a false police report. These are serious matters. A minor? Her face went pale. He can't be. I didn't know. I'm 17. Alex spoke up quietly. And I really just want to go home. The officer talking to Alex nodded sympathetically. We'll need a statement from you, but we'll try to make this quick. Would you like us to contact your parents? I already did, Alex said, holding up his phone. My mom's on her way. The woman overheard this and tried a new approach. Oh, we can sort this out with his parents. There's no need for charges. I'll even pay for the PlayStation. That's not how this works, the first officer explained. Filing a false police report is a criminal offense. You claimed he assaulted you and tried to steal from you. We responded with multiple units because of the nature of your call. A new voice cut through the crowd. That's my son. Alex's mom rushed forward, still wearing her healthcare worker's scrubs. She must have come straight from her shift. The woman's eyes lit up with desperate hope. Oh, wonderful. Mother to mother, surely we can. I heard everything on speakerphone. Alex's mom interrupted, her voice cold. I want to press charges. The woman deflated like a punctured balloon. You don't understand. This will ruin my reputation. I'm on the board of several charitable organizations. Maybe you should have thought about that before trying to steal from a teenager and then lying to the police about it, called out someone from the crowd. The lead officer pulled out a small notebook. Ma'am, I need to see your ID. As the woman fumbled in her designer purse, her phone suddenly lit up with a notification. Someone in the crowd called out, Hey, this thing is already going viral. Look at all these views. The woman's head snapped up. What? No, you can't post that. I'll sue everyone who shared that video. Public space, public recording, the delivery driver said with a shrug. No expectation of privacy in a parking lot. The store manager stepped forward again. We'll be providing all security footage to the police. And ma'am, you're permanently banned from all our locations. You can't do that. I spend thousands here. Not anymore, the manager replied firmly. One of the officers was now reading the woman her rights, while another was taking statements from witnesses. The crowd had thinned somewhat, but those who remained were still recording. Alex's mom had her arm around his shoulders. Are you okay, honey? Yeah, Mom. Just, really not how I expected this morning to go. The officer taking their statement smiled sympathetically. Sometimes the best lessons about standing up for yourself come in unexpected ways. You handled this very maturely. From across the parking lot, they could hear the woman's continued protests as she was escorted to a police car. This is all a misunderstanding. I want my lawyer. Do you know who my husband is? The young nurse who'd stood up for Alex earlier approached them. Hey, just so you know, you've got a lot of supporters here. That video's going to show everyone exactly what happened. Alex looked down at his 5 pounds, still clutched safely in his arms. What started as a simple shopping trip had turned into something much bigger, a lesson about standing up to bullies, the power of community support, and the importance of staying calm under pressure. By that evening, the parking lot incident had exploded across social media. The hashtag electronic store Karen was trending, with millions of views on various platforms. The original videos, posted by several witnesses, showed the entire confrontation from multiple angles. The woman, now identified as Mrs. Richardson, was facing serious consequences. Her law firm, where she served as a senior partner, had placed her on immediate administrative leave. Their official statement read, "We are aware of the incident involving one of our partners. The behavior shown in the viral videos does not align with our firm's values of integrity and respect." Local news stations picked up the story, running headlines like "Attempted Theft and False Police Report at Electronic Store Goes Viral" and "Woman Faces Charges After Confrontation Over Gaming Console." Mrs. Richardson's social media presence quickly disappeared as comments flooded her profiles. Her charitable organization board memberships were suddenly under review. The country club where she held a prestigious membership card released a statement distancing themselves from her actions. Back at home, Alex was trying to process everything that had happened. His phone kept buzzing with messages from friends who'd seen the videos. "Dude, you're famous?" read one text. "Way to keep your cool," said another. His mum sat with him on the couch, both still a bit stunned by the day's events. "I'm really proud of how you handled that situation," she said, giving him a hug. "But I'm also angry that you had to deal with it at all." The police had taken detailed statements and assured them they were taking the case seriously. The responding officers had been impressed by Alex's composure and the community's support. Later that night, Alex received an unexpected email from the electronic store's regional manager. It read, "Dear Alex, we were distressed to learn about your experience at our store today. While we're proud of our security team's response and grateful for our community's support, we want to personally apologize for what you endured. Please accept a full refund of your purchase along with a $500 store gift card. We believe in creating a safe and welcoming environment for all our customers, and we failed you today. We're implementing additional security measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. Best regards." The local gaming community had also rallied. The owner of a popular gaming cafe reached out, offering Alex a free lifetime membership. "We need more gamers like you who keep their cool under pressure," the message said. Mrs. Richardson's son, a college student, posted a public apology on social media. "I'm horrified by my mother's actions. I didn't ask for a £5, and I certainly didn't want one obtained this way. To the young man involved, I'm deeply sorry for what you experienced." The incident sparked important conversations about privilege, racial profiling, and the consequences of false police reports. Local civil rights organizations used the incident as an example in their community awareness programs. Mrs. Richardson's attorney released a statement. "My client acknowledges her serious lapse in judgment and is seeking counseling. She wishes to apologize to the young man and his family for her inexcusable behavior." But the consequences were just beginning. The district attorney's office announced they would be pursuing charges for filing a false police report, attempted theft, and harassment. Legal experts appearing on local news explained that these charges could result in significant fines and potentially jail time. Meanwhile, Alex's story had inspired others to share similar experiences, creating a broader conversation about standing up to bullying and the importance of community support. A local youth organization invited him to speak about handling confrontations with dignity and keeping calm under pressure. The electronics store used the incident to retrain their staff on security protocols and customer protection. They installed additional cameras in the parking lot and implemented a new policy for high-demand item sales to prevent future confrontations. 1 month after the incident, the electronics store parking lot looked very different. New security cameras gleamed in the sunlight, and signs declaring zero tolerance for harassment were prominently displayed. But the biggest change was happening inside, where a special community event was taking place. Alex stood at a small podium, facing a crowd of eager faces. The store had organized a gaming tournament to promote community unity, and they'd asked him to say a few words before it began. "I never expected my £5 purchase to turn into such a big deal," he started, his voice slightly shaky but growing stronger. "But looking back, I'm actually grateful for what happened. Not because of the viral videos or attention, but because it showed me how many good people are out there." The crowd included many familiar faces from that day: the nurse who'd spoken up, the delivery driver who'd recorded everything, and even some of the other customers who'd waited in line with him that morning. The tournament wasn't just about gaming. Local youth organizations had set up booths offering resources about dealing with confrontations, knowing your rights, and the importance of community support. The police department had sent community officers to build better relationships with young people. "The best part is," Alex continued, "every entry fee from today's tournament goes to programs that help kids learn about gaming and technology. Some of these kids might not be able to save up for months like I did, but they deserve the chance to play too." The store manager stepped up next. "Thanks to overwhelming community support and donations, we've established a monthly program where we'll provide gaming consoles and equipment to community centers in underserved areas. We're calling it the Gaming for All initiative." As for Mrs. Richardson, she had pleaded guilty to reduced charges, accepting community service, and mandatory anti-bias training. Her public apology video had seemed sincere, acknowledging her prejudices and the harm they'd caused. The gaming cafe that had offered Alex membership had turned into a safe haven for young gamers. They'd started hosting weekly events where kids could play for free, creating a space where everyone felt welcome regardless of their background. Alex's mom watched proudly from the side as he finished his speech. Her son had handled an ugly situation with grace, and now he was helping turn it into something positive. She'd taken some time off from extra nursing shifts. They had enough money saved now, and family time felt more important. The tournament kicked off with excited chatter and the buzz of gaming consoles. Kids from all over the city had come to participate, many bringing their own controllers and sharing gaming tips with new friends. A small girl tugged at Alex's sleeve as he stepped down from the podium. "My big brother told me what happened," she said. "He said you were really brave. Will you play Minecraft with me?" Alex smiled and grabbed an extra controller. "Of course. Let's build something awesome together." The store had set up a wall they called the Community Heroes Board, featuring stories of people who'd stood up against discrimination and helped others. Alex's story was there, but it was just one of many. Each week, they added new stories of everyday people making a difference. As the tournament progressed, the atmosphere was electric with excitement and friendly competition. People who might never have met otherwise were teaming up, sharing snacks, and making plans to game together online. The local news crew arrived to cover the event, but this time, their story wasn't about conflict. Instead, they focused on how one incident had sparked a movement of positive change in the community. "You know what's cool?" Alex said to his mom during a break. "This isn't even about me anymore. It's about something bigger. It's about making sure everyone feels welcome, no matter who they are or what they're trying to buy." His mom gave him a hug. "Sometimes the worst moments bring out the best in people. I'm just glad you're using your voice to help others now." As the sun set outside, the gaming tournament was still going strong. Through the store's windows, you could see people of all ages and backgrounds laughing, playing, and connecting. What had started as one teen's horrible experience had transformed into a force for positive change in the community.